Meet my new friend Hailee. Hailee is a content creator and entrepreneur who runs a YouTube channel and small business alongside her husband Henry. Be sure to check out their content, link below. The couple made the decision to leave their life in Washington and relocate to the Philippines, where they now live full-time. Hailee and I had a great conversation about what life is like in the region of Ilocos, the culture shock she experienced, her journey learning both Ilocano and Tagalog, what it's like being vegan in the Philippines, and so much more. I hope you guys enjoy the video. I've seen like some of your guys' YouTube videos, and it seems like you're having lots of fun in the Philippines. When did you guys get there?
So it's been 6 months now since we've moved.
And you're originally from the States, or where are you from?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, actually.
And so then how did you get like connected to the Filipino culture?
So my husband he's part Filipino. To start with, Washington State is just a melting pot of so many different cultures. I feel like I already grew up around Filipino culture at a very young age. Both of my best friends are also Filipino. But how we came to moving to the Philippines was we went on our first vacation to the Philippines in April of last year. And during this time, we were already thinking about leaving Washington, but we were still thinking about staying within the States. But after going to the Philippines, my husband asked me if I would want to move to the Philippines. And I said, when do we leave? It just feels really familiar too, because for me, I'm also really mixed and I'm part Samoan. And actually, Samoan culture and Filipino culture, there's a lot of similarities. So it feels very comfortable for me in the Philippines, even though I don't speak the language yet.
So your husband is part Filipino. Did he grow up between the US and the Philippines? Did he do some trips back and forth?
Yeah, so for him growing up, him and his mom would go from the US to the Philippines all the time. So he is very familiar with the area and obviously he grew up very Filipino. He has many siblings. But for him, since he did mostly grow up in the States since he went to school there, it is still an interesting experience for him to navigate this new place that is his home, but is now his permanent home.
Where is your husband from in the Philippines? Where's his family from?
So his mom is Bicolana, but she's kind of been all over the place. She actually speaks multiple dialects. Right now, a lot of his family lives in San Juan Loñan, so Ilocos Norte region, and then he also has some family in Bataan.
Oh, wow. So that's kind of like all over the place in Luzon, right? Bicol, Ilocos Norte, Bataan. That's cool. You have like contacts all over the place.
We do, yeah. And mom, she's like I said, she speaks so many dialects like Visayan, Ilocano, Tagalog, and she still, I believe, remembers some Bicol.
And does your husband speak those languages as well?
No, not yet. He does understand Tagalog and some Ilocano, but he's learning to speak it while we're there in the Philippines.
Okay, I'll be honest. Learning to speak Tagalog is pretty hard. But with the right resources, it can be a whole lot easier. And I've got you covered with my beginner's Tagalog course. With 18 comprehensive video lessons, this 2-volume course makes it simple to start building your Tagalog skills from the ground up. Plus, you'll get lifetime access to PDF vocabulary sheets that will help you practice and retain what you learn. If that sounds good, click the first link in the description below to start learning Tagalog today. Now, back to the video. So then where do you guys live in the Philippines now? What region are you in?
So we live in the same area that his family lives in San Juan Loñan.
That's the place in Ilocos, right?
Right, yeah.
Right. That's like the surfing capital of the Philippines, is it not?
It is, yeah.
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 Are you guys surfers?
No, not yet. We want to learn, but honestly, it happened on accident because, like I said, a lot of his family lives there, and his mom, when she bought property over there, it was a ghost town. There was nothing there. She just bought it because land was cheap. She wanted to build a family home, and that ended up being where it was.
I've never been up north. Like I've just been to the Philippines just one time. Unfortunately, I want to go back for another trip, but I've only heard good things about Ilocos. I have some friends that say that up there it's like the most beautiful landscapes in all of the Philippines. Does it feel like more provincial or is it like more urban?
I would say it's in this weird in between for me. Like we're in the middle of being able to see all of the development because it was very provincial before, but obviously it's a tourist attraction because it's the surf capital. So there is so much to do there, but it's very close to see farmland and see those really open pieces of just beautiful landscaping. So you get a little bit of both. You have those like convenient amenities that you maybe wouldn't have in more provincial areas, but you still have those getaways where you can just drive a little bit off to the side and you're in the middle of nowhere.
And I guess that line that exists in the Philippines between like the provincia, like the rural areas, and the city areas, I mean, it is kind of subjective as well. And I think like as a foreigner coming into that, I don't always understand where the line is and like how, okay, this area is technically the province and this one isn't, because the entire country is divided up by province, right? So if you really want to get technical, every place in the Philippines is in a province. But then when Filipinos say province, they're not talking about that. Yeah, I often get confused by that. And when I was in the Philippines, I remember being down in Cebu and we were driving around with one of my friends there and she was kind of showing us the area. And I would see things that looked very rural to me. And I'd say, oh, we must be in the province now. She goes, no, 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 no. We're still in the city. And I'm like, well, I mean, there's a goat over there. Like, this doesn't count? And she's like, no, not yet. We're too close to like the Cebu city bounds, so this doesn't count. And so I'm like, okay, I don't really understand where the line is, but fair enough.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's normal. You'll still see goats and other animals in city parts. Like that's just Philippines.
So have you guys done some traveling around the Philippines since you've been there?
A little bit. Again, just we've stayed kind of in that same region, like Ilocos. And then obviously we've been to Manila, but we've been to Vegan, which the Ilocano there is very different. I don't even know how to explain it really because I, again, don't speak Ilocano, but even some friends that we've talked to, they said that they can't even understand that level of Ilocano that's spoken in that region. So,
And what did you guys come up with? What is the spot that kind of caught your eye for a place to have a house or live full time?
I think initially, since we moved to Beach Town, we were like, we want a piece of land next to the beach. But my husband's family house is next to the beach. So that's, we are currently staying like 2-minute walk from the beach. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. But after staying there for 6 months, we realized that we actually don't want to be really close to the beach, only because a lot of that land is dedicated to a lot of the tourism. So it can be a little bit loud. And there's a lot of, tourists always going through those areas. It's always very busy, very crowded. And since we've been driving around and going up to these mountain areas, you really just you cannot beat the kind of views that you get up there. And you're close. You're still close to the beach. You go up to a mountain, but it's only like a 5-minute drive to just get to the beach. So that's kind of where we're at. We're thinking like mountaintop, farmland, I think is more so.
Was there some culture shock for you at the beginning?
A lot. It's not that we did some covers on our YouTube channel talking about some of our culture shocks too. And I feel like people immediately look at culture shocks like it's a negative thing, whereas I don't necessarily think the culture shocks are a negative thing. It's just something that's different. And it's like a gap that I need to bridge personally into understanding this new culture that I'm coming into. But for me, there were a lot of things that were different for me. Obviously, I don't look Filipino. Some people say that I look like I could be half, but obviously in certain areas where it's maybe a little bit more provincial, it's very obvious that I look different. And I'm very introverted. Like I do not like all the attention to be on me. And so when I walk into a room or if I'm just like wanting to grocery shop or something like that and everyone is staring at me, it makes me feel really uncomfortable. That was something I had to get over because still to this day, if I'm going about my day, people are going to look at me all of the time. And it's out of curiosity and admiration as well. It's not a negative thing. It's just for me personally, something that I had to get over that I couldn't be just like this normal person going about my day and nobody cares. Nobody thinks twice and looks at you or thinks differently. So that was a big adjustment for me. I always felt like, am I ready to go out and run errands for today? Because everybody's going to be staring at me.
And I think that Filipinos are also not shy to go up to people that they might not know and strike up a conversation and ask you where you're from and stuff. Like many times in the Philippines, without trying, we kind of would create a scene because we're like out filming on the street and then people would come up to us and want to know what's going on, and then someone else would come up and pretty soon it's like a really big ordeal, which is cool. I love that, but I also understand that it can be overwhelming to get a lot of attention, and I guess we were kind of looking for it it also more than you were because we were filming videos and stuff like that. But it's different, like in North America, we're generally very used to diversity, but we're also like, in my case, being in Canada, looking the way that I look, I'm still in the majority. And so I love diversity, but I also take advantage of the fact that I'm the majority. And so I think that going to a country where you become the minority is very challenging, but it's also like a really good thing for people to go through, to realize like, oh, this is how other people feel in Canada. I never realized that that was the other side of the coin, like that sometimes it's not super cool to be the one that's always different than everybody else, right?
It is hard. And so it's been a challenge for me going through that. But yeah, exactly what you said. It's the other way around. But like I said, it's never that people are trying to be rude or they want to make me feel uncomfortable. They're genuinely curious and they admire. They're like, oh my gosh, there's someone here enjoying my food, my culture. They want to share that. And it's very Filipino. They have such a like great hospitality and they want to like love on the people that come to their country.
In the Philippines, they really make you feel special. I mean, people made me feel like a celebrity that I'm not when I was in the Philippines. They're like taking pictures with me. They've never seen any of the videos that I've made, but they're taking pictures with me anyway. They're like just chatting with me and stuff. And it's also great for, for learning the language. So like, where are you at in that process now, 6 months in? You're learning Tagalog, you're learning Ilocano, or combination of both?
A combination of both. So in our household, both languages are spoke, Ilocano and Tagalog. So that's where it gets confusing for me, like differentiating which one is Ilocano and which one is Tagalog. But I think I absorb language pretty easily. I know a little bit of a lot of languages, but so for me, sometimes I don't even know how much I absorb. And then my husband will be like, huh, what does this mean? And then I'm like, oh, it means this. And he's like, how did you know? And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I actually don't know how I know that.
So like, how do you do that? Like, how do you differentiate between Ilocano and Tagalog? How do you know what you're learning?
Well, now I can hear the difference. Obviously, the accent is different. Everything, it sounds different. Before, though, when we got here and, they would say a word and then I would just be like, "Oh, okay, then it's Tagalog." And then they'd be like, "No, that's Ilocano." And I'm like, "Oh my God. Oh my God. What?" But now I can hear the difference and I can kind of know what dialect is what now, but that took some time.
For me, when I hear different languages being spoken in the Philippines, I feel like the accent sounds similar, but I can always tell if it's not Tagalog based on the words that they use. Like they'll say something and I'll be like, oh, that's not a Tagalog word. So sometimes I feel like the accent is similar, but they are their own unique languages at the same time, right? So they have lots of differences. Well, good for you. I mean, learning two languages at one time is hard.
It is. It can be confusing sometimes, but also I think it helps because, and I don't think this is across the board, but I think it might depend on where they're from. But there's this like almost there's like these tones in Ilocano where they go like dun 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 dun. It's like that. You'll hear it, and so like my sister-in-law who speaks Ilocano, even when she speaks English, she's like I don't know. Like you can hear it even when she's it's like she's singing. That's a big one. If I hear that when someone's talking, I'm like, okay, they're
Mhm.
Ilocano.
It's like the rhythm of the language, the melody of the language, basically. The Philippines is a rich country for linguistics. So many different languages to learn. That's cool. It's also really rich with the cuisine, too. Do you have like a favorite Filipino food?
So this is another interesting topic. I'm actually vegan. So
Okay.
so being vegan in the Philippines has been interesting to navigate as well. Obviously, since I live in an area where there's a lot of tourism, it's easier because there's a lot of vegan options because they cater to a lot of the tourism there. So I'm really safe in that aspect. Plus, God bless my mother-in-law who cooks all vegan food for me all the time. She's amazing. I love her. So I've got to experience a lot of different cuisines, but through the vegan versions of them. So again, when I'm saying these dishes, they're like the vegan versions. My favorites so far are probably the spicy dishes like Bicol Express. Sisig's really good. And I also really love bitter melon. So pinapaitan and pinakbet.
And pinakbet is like it's from Ilocos, is it not? Isn't it like a regional
Yeah.
dish? Yeah. That's the one with
Yeah.
pumpkin in it, I want to say.
Yeah, it's like a squash.
Like a squash. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I've heard of that one. I've never tried it before, but sisig is definitely one of my favorites. I've always wanted to try Bicol Express, and I bet your mother-in-law makes really good Bicol Express because she's from there, right? She's from Bicol.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing. She just made it for me for my birthday, actually.
Is it really that spicy?
I think it depends on who's making it. If you're eating it, like when I'm eating it out, it's not very spicy. I eat really spicy food. It's probably on the verge of being battery acid. So for me, I'm probably not the best person to ask because sometimes I'll be eating something and my husband will be like, "Oh my God, it's so spicy." I'm like, huh? But my mother-in-law tells me if you go there, then it's very spicy.
I've talked to people that live in the Philippines and don't eat pork, and that can be very challenging, or people that are vegetarian. But of course, vegan is like the next level. So I would imagine that if you're outside of a hub where there might be international people, it would be pretty hard to find something you can eat, right?
I think so, but I've talked to a lot of people about this. I think it depends on what you're looking for. Because if you're a vegan or a vegetarian that likes to eat like stuff like Beyond Meat, like all these processed alternatives that taste like meat, you're gonna have a hard time. For sure, you're gonna have a hard time. But if you're going to the Philippines and you want to take advantage of all of the fresh fruits and vegetables, it's the best place possible for vegans. I eat so much healthier than I ever did back in the States. I think the first month that we moved, I actually lost like 10 pounds just from the fresh foods that I was eating because I was eating a lot more of that instead of all of these processed foods, which is very common on a vegan diet because we're all thinking about protein, but really, like, we're fine. Just eat vegetables.
Yeah, I guess that's the advantage that you'd have in the Philippines is the access to all the tropical fruits and veggies and stuff like that year round too.
I was super shocked when we went to the Philippines because I had never had fruits that tasted like candy. They taste like candy. It's crazy. Like when you eat strawberries and stuff in the States, it tastes like water. It doesn't have any flavor. Like it has remnants of the flavor of a strawberry, but there's no sweetness. I don't know. It's weird. So yeah, being vegan in the Philippines is I think it's easy.
Yeah, that's cool. I never really thought about that. I think you're the first person that I've talked to on the channel that is vegan. And so that's a unique perspective that I didn't really think about before. But I'm glad it's easy. I'm glad it's working out. Do you like see yourself living in the Philippines forever? Like in the, for the foreseeable future, let's say?
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
And like, what is your favorite thing about living there?
The fresh fruits and vegetables is a big one. To me, health is so important, and I already feel so much better. Also, I think I can just see building a family in the Philippines. I don't think that although I knew that I wanted to have a family in the States, I couldn't really imagine it. Whereas like in the Philippines, it's such a warm country. It's so family focused. I just think it's really inviting to build a family and that kind of foundation for your life. That's really important to me as well. That's why I think the Philippines is the place for me.
It is very different. You can tell that they have different values, I think, than we have in the West in terms of community and closeness, close ties to family, and even like the definition of family. Like it extends out to like your cousins and aunts and uncles and even friends, people that just live in the neighborhood. Where I think here, at least in Canada, we can be a little bit more closed off with who we allow into our circles, who we consider to be, family or friends or whatever. Basically, whoever, like who gets invited to the parties. What do you think are like some big differences between American culture and Filipino culture?
That's a big one because I mean, we talk about it a lot. Like when we're in the States, you'll probably only see your family like on the big holidays, right? Like Christmas, Thanksgiving. Other than that, like everybody's way too busy because we're all working. We have our own schedules, they don't align. And so we never are intentional about making those points, with our families unless it's on those specific days that we put as like those are our family days. Whereas in the Philippines, like your family's stopping over to your house just because they're coming by, through the neighborhood just to say hi. You see them every single day, all of the time. And I think it's a lot of different factors, right? Because lifestyle there also allows that, it invites that for people to be able to have more leniency within their schedule to dedicate to family. So it is different. And this might be more specific to Washington too, because Seattle, Washington is known for being the freeze. We have that freeze kind of mentality. We're very to ourselves, very closed off. That is very me as well, being born and raised there. But it's just overall more warm culturally to just like what you were saying, not just to your family, but people who you decide to extend that to. It's just if someone sees you like struggling to pick something up on the side of the road or whatever, they're gonna jump off of their trike to come and help you. They're gonna stop everything that they're doing, and it'll be like 5 people coming to help you. In the States, if you're like if I'm struggling carrying all these things, people are just gonna watch you like struggle and walk by.
Mhm.
They're not gonna care.
I mean, it's like a cultural thing that we have too, where we're like, I'll do me, you do you. But I think that we also have the excuse of like, well, people will say, oh, I just don't have time. I don't have time to hang out with my family every other day. I don't have time to do this and do that. How do Filipinos swing that? Like, they're working just like anyone else, probably more. How do they have time to like invest in people in their community? And how do they have time to pull over on the side of the road and help you with your car, or like if you're stranded somewhere? Like, how do they do that logistically?
I think the kind of work too is it's just different. I won't say that like Filipinos work more than Americans or Americans work more than Filipinos. I think that just in general, our lifestyles as Americans are very unhealthy. It drives us into this place of wanting to just kind of like be to ourselves, just like I need a moment to breathe and like not think about anything else and completely empty my brain. We're so brain dead by the end of the day that like we can't even have a thought to use any more energy on anything else. I think it just gets us into a really dark place, especially in Washington because most of the year is raining and gloomy, so that's a whole other thing. Whereas in the Philippines, like it's what like feeds them, being able to do things for other people and community and helping one another. They understand and they know that I'm helping this person because this person's also going to help me. This person's also going to help me. We all help each other. And it's like you said, it's a community thing where there's that huge disconnect in the States. But it's because we're all so spent, I think.
I think it can be, yeah, like maybe not what you do, but like how you do it. I can't remember who it was. Somebody that I talked to on the channel. They said that they believe Filipinos live more in the moment, where in the West we have a more like kind of we think really far into the future about like making plans and getting this job and doing this thing and networking our business and blah blah blah, as opposed to being like, oh, there are people in front of me right now that I could be engaging with and making community with. So maybe that's a part of it as well. There's nothing more exhausting than letting your mind go really far to the future, right? Things you can't, you have no control over.
Yeah, that's totally true. I can see that.
Before you went to the Philippines on your first trip, you said that was April of last year, right? So like 12 months ago.
Yeah.
You would have obviously had some exposure to the culture through your husband. You said that the Samoan culture also has some similarities. But like when you got to the Philippines, were there some things that surprised you? Like, I guess what surprised you about it when you got there, if anything?
It surprised me how different culturally like different islands of the Philippines are. I mean, in the States, you'll hear the Filipino Americans say like, "Oh yeah, my family's Ilocano, oh my family's Visayan." I've heard a lot of different Filipino friends say those things, but I didn't realize how drastically different they are. They have their own languages, they have their own cuisines, just everything is so different. And I didn't know how deep that was until I got there.